Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reacts. Let's talk Scare Package. Scare Package was released in 2020 and it pretty much centers around 7 different horror shorts, all done by 7 different horror directors. And I gotta say guys, I did really enjoy this one. It pretty much is over the top and slapstick. The practical effects in this are top notch and we have some great stories throughout the entire movie. A lot of times I find with anthologies what we get is we either have way too many stories and you can't kind of invest in them too long, or else we don't have that much, and if one of them is boring it tends to drag the entire movie down. We don't get this with Scare Package. I do think 7 is the perfect number for this anthology and it works really well. My favourite story by far, I think it's A Day in the Woods, centres on a group of teenagers who go to the woods for the day only to find out one of them is a serial killer. Now at the same time they are being harassed by a mutating stranger while trying to survive this terrifying serial killer. That entire short for me was what was the best part of the entire anthology. It was so funny, it was extremely gory, but the practical effects were my favourite part of it. Practical effects in that scene worked really well. They remind me of stuff like The Evil Dead, but given that I am a huge fan of slashers, having a serial killer in the woods at the same time also was a treat. Another great short in this one, we have a final girl who unfortunately cannot survive her own serial killer. He just keeps coming back. As a horror trope that has been around for years, we know a lot of serial killers, no matter how many times we kill them, will keep coming back. So her and her friends track him down, they pretty much tie him up and try to kill him in any way they can. Using different methods throughout the short, they have some really comedic moments where the killer just won't stay dead and each of the characters gets killed off one by one. I thought it was really neat and a really interesting concept with one we've seen so many years in different horror movies. Just like the Woods short, if you like your horror gory and a bit over the top, that's one to check out. It works really well. The blood, the guts and gore in those scenes is again over the top, but I liked watching it. I thought it was really funny. One thing I will say with this horror anthology, not a lot of it is scary. But again, I didn't mind this. This is kind of more tongue-in-cheek than anything else. They know they're poking fun of horror, but I like that about it. They kind of dissect different horror tropes and poke fun at them, while at the same time paying tribute to them. We have many different horror stories throughout, from werewolves to cursed lollipops, but the main one that kind of is the wraparound story that centralizes everything, focus on a character who pretty much dresses as Joe Bob from The Last Drive-In. He owns his own video store. He drives a convertible, which is very similar to the one in the final act of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I did really enjoy that main central storyline. I also like how it did wrap everything around into it. Each of the shorts come from different VHS tapes that are around the video store. Now we do also have 2 other characters, one who pretty much wants to get a job in a video store and the other who pretty much lives in the video store and knows everything you can know about horror and movies in general. The final storyline, which is that wraparound film that keeps everything centralized, it is a little similar to Cabin in the Woods. I will say that I was taken aback slightly by that, but at the same time they put enough of their own spin on it that it is slightly different. We have a group of scientists who are experimenting on different stereotypical characters who always can't survive horror movies. So they are running tests on them why they can't run away from the killer or how they constantly get caught. Of course, they're also running tests on why killers won't die. Another thing I actually loved about this movie is the different nods we get to older horror movies. In the final act of the movie, The Last Story, we have a character who pretty much dresses as Glenn from A Nightmare on Elm Street. We also have a nod to Friday the 13th Part 4. Little Easter eggs like that were great to find, and I'm sure it's a movie where if you watch it a second or third time, you would constantly get that. I did really enjoy that last story. Again, that is definitely one of my favourites in this. It works really well, but we also have some great cameos, and again, it's those little things in this anthology that I like the most. The little things that you could probably do a second rewatch or a third rewatch and find more and more information. But speaking of that last act, that is our final story in the anthology, and again it's the wraparound storyline where everything comes together. They also have some great cameos, one in particular from Joe Bob from The Last Drive-In, and some great kills. That last act of the movie has some really cool, fun, gory death scenes. All in all guys, I really enjoyed this anthology. If you haven't already guys, check it out on Shudder. It's currently available there, and if you can guys, pop back here and let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. As always guys, if you can let me know what you thought of the review, leave a comment down below, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.